Alright, so in this video I'm going to show you how I made a set of parallettes with my welder at home and a bunch of scrap steel that I got at my local junkyard. I decided to do this because my favorite exercise for my chest by far is the weighted deficit push-up. And I've been doing these with dumbbells for years. Don't get me wrong, dumbbells work just fine, but the stretch you get from using parallettes is far superior. And the peace of mind that I have now, knowing that wherever I place these, they're firm, they're planted, they're not going to move, is absolutely priceless to me. So anyways, let's get to it. First things first, I went to my local scrapyard and found a bunch of unused, untouched rebar that a construction company threw out, along with these two identical pieces of pipe. They're about 2 inches in diameter. They would work perfect. The only problem was they had holes inside the sidewall that I had to fill in with weld. And I'm going to show you how I did just that in just a second here. So I began by taking all the surface rust off of the pipes with a wire wheel. Not a huge deal to do beforehand, but it makes it a lot easier because once it's all welded together, it's a lot harder to get in there with a grinder. So here I'm cutting pucks from a spare chunk of rebar I had laying around. These are going to serve as a filler material before I weld up the holes, because if I just used wire, it would be very time consuming and I would lose a lot of wire in the process. So once the holes are plugged, I used my angle grinder to remove the lumps that were left behind from the welding process, and then I followed that up with a sanding disc to make the surface nice and smooth so that nobody cuts their hands while using these. So once my steel pipes were ready for fabrication, it was time to move on to building the base. And there wasn't a whole lot of math involved here. On deciding the diameter of the base, I kind of just held the pipe in midair and kind of just envisioned how I wanted it to look. And I held my tape measure up to a piece of rebar, and 1 foot by 1 foot looked like it was going to work just fine. So for each base, I cut 2 pieces of rebar at 1 foot and then 2 at 10 5/8 because they were actually going to go in the inside of the 1 foot pieces in order to produce an even 1 foot by 1 foot base. And while everything was laying on the ground in front of me, I went ahead and squared everything up and tacked the bases in place, and then went ahead and cut the uprights and moved over to the bench for final assembly. Tacking the uprights to the base was a bit of a challenge. I didn't use a square or a protractor. This is all by eyeball. And yeah, I just kept cutting and tacking the uprights until the pipe was centered in the base and it looked straight compared to the side walls of the base. I did, however, use a tape measure to verify that the height of both pipes were the same distance from the ground, so that my hands were at the same level when using these. And then I also used a level to make sure that the pipes were level in comparison to their individual bases. So once the basic fabrication was done, it was pretty much home free home from here. I just went along and welded all the joints together, making sure to fill in all the cracks so that nobody cut their hands while using these. And yeah, that was pretty much it. After it was all welded up, I went along with my wire wheel and my grinder and cleaned up all the joints just to get rid of all the rust, the BBs, the slag, and make them look presentable. I also put a wire wheel on the drill and got all the rust out from in between the pipes. I missed those during the cleaning process, and I'll probably hit those with a little bit of paint or some clear coat, something like that, just to stop it from corroding from the inside out. And that's pretty much it. Took me about an afternoon to get these done. I'm not going to paint these. I like that raw fabricated steel look inside my gym. But if you embarked on this journey and you wanted to paint them, that'd be like an extra hour of your time. Yeah, thanks for watching, and let me know if you want to see more videos like this.
Awesome. Well, thanks for tuning in, guys. I'm really stoked with how these turned out. I love these so much more than the step-up boxes because I like gripping something and pushing off of the ground, preferred rather than flat-handed pushing off the ground. These are awesome. I can finally overload with a backpack on these because the dumbbells were just, I couldn't get a deep enough of a stretch, whereas these, I've got lots of room to come down and I'm not worried about hitting the ground. Yeah, so thanks for tuning in. If you got this far, thank you. Making videos is probably the most awkward thing I've done in my life so far. Talking to a camera one-on-one, this is just not human, dude. But yeah, thanks for tuning in. If there's something I can leave you with, it's, if you can think of it, you can probably build it at home. Like, making shit like this at home is not hard. Like welders are like $100 on Amazon. I picked up all this steel at the junkyard for free. Like, construction companies just throw out this rebar and they don't need it or want it, and it's perfectly good, non-corroded steel. And there's tons of like welding shops throwing pipe like this away. Yeah, you can literally do anything. Like, that was my whole plan building this home gym, is buying cheapish equipment and then modifying it to my liking, because I did have the fabrication experience. But I can tell you, as somebody who spent a lot of time fabricating, that you don't need to be an expert to get into something like this. Yeah, it's just, once you get into it, it's not that complicated. But if you want to see more videos like this, I can definitely show you guys how to build the home dream of your gyms. Shit. Home gym of your dreams. That's what I meant to say.